A very warm welcome and live coverage is just ahead, just around the corner from Beijing for the PGL Asia Minor Championships 2017. 13 games in the history books already. Group stage is done. Upper bracket complete. 3 matches remaining, 4 teams fighting it out for $50,000 or the share of $50,000 and perhaps more importantly, in fact, screw it, absolutely more importantly, a place in the offline finals before they reach the PGL Major in Krakow. Today is the final day. We're going to see the lower bracket completed. 2 Chinese teams opening things up. We've also got Australians in the mix as well as New Zealand and the grand final to look forward to. Let's take you through the playoff bracket as it is right now. Yesterday saw both of the Australian-based teams winning their opening matches against their Chinese opposition. Renegades winning 2-1 over TyLoo. Immunity coming through after a brilliant display against Flash. And then the all-Australian grand final upper bracket. Renegades coming through that one in 2-1. It was what we would call interesting counter-strike yesterday between those two. Renegades in the end then making sure that they qualify for the 4th successive time for the offline final from the minors. As I said, grand final to look forward to today. We're going to kick things off at the start of the day with 2 Chinese teams going head-to-head. Who knows what we've got in store from that game? But 2 men on the panel are looking forward to it one way or another. We've got Blair and we've got Natu. Good morning, men.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, everything okay?
Everything's good.
Looking forward to the final day?
Yeah, I mean, we get to start with an incredible Chinese
You have some reservations about this, I
yes,
know.
I do.
Because the last time this happened, it didn't end well, did it?
Yeah, it was an interesting one for sure.
PTSD, a little?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Bunch of that. Yeah, on a map of cash, especially VG versus TyLoo. We were in Malaysia for the previous minor, and it ended up being like a quadruple overtime game with the scrappiest game of Counter-Strike. But that's what happens in a domestic battle sometimes, especially with the Chinese teams. I don't think the map veto is going to make any sense. I don't think the game itself is going to make any sense. So I'm wishing us all luck in trying to analyze this game.
Yeah, well, you two anyway, not me. I don't care. I don't have to analyse anything. Before we get into our first match of the day, as you can see, the players are headed out into the arena for this opening match between Flash and TyLoo. Just quick reflection on yesterday and what you made of that, because that was 2 Australian teams going head-to-head. What a crazy upper bracket final that was.
Yeah, like what we're going to be seeing today. I think the final game yesterday was basically an appetizer of what's about to come today with this Chinese matchup. And we saw that like in Mirage, a very scrappy opening, very back and forth, a lot of small little mistakes and big mistakes being made by both the teams. But in the end, Renegades, just having the better experience, having some more composure. And of course, like we got to talk about Nifty a little bit. I mean, if he goes off today like he did yesterday, we might finally have Renegades actually winning a minor after, I don't know, like what, 4 tries.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves yet.
Yeah, yeah. There's a little bit of Counter-Strike to play before we get there.
I'm just saying.
Do they have a preferred opponent? Would they like to just play Immunity again, I guess?
I think they would rather play Immunity, to be very honest.
Known quantity.
Because this has happened before. They've reached the finals, and they've had to encounter TyLoo, who always, for some reason, they keep getting to the lower bracket, and they fight their way
up. It's their bogey team, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bogey team, and they're probably going to not be looking forward to face those guys out. But although I think that they should be pretty relaxed today. They've qualified. That's the main objective, not just to, I mean, of course, it doesn't matter like who does win the minor, but the main objective for most of these teams is to make it to the major qualifier, which Renegades have done. So I'm actually more curious to see how Immunity is going to fare against whoever wins this particular matchup.
Yeah. And of course, we'll get into our opening match of the day. It is the 2 Chinese teams going head-to-head. We'll start with TyLoo. The thing is with these 2 teams as well, they get kind of like this warm-up, as it were, against each other. So they're hot already. Immunity are going to have to come in cold. That might affect them as well, mightn't it?
It depends kind of game how the game goes. If it becomes like a really dreadful best of, like a 3-mapper that drags along over times, using a lot of energy to try to win that game.
Could go the other way then,
it could be the other way.
Fatigue sets in.
But yeah, it does. I mean, depends. For some players, it's a problem if you don't get that warm up. It's a different thing to be playing DM or playing against bots than playing an actual game. Getting in the flow of an actual match. Some people are better at just jumping straight into a game and getting in that zone. Some are not. So it depends really on how Immunity as individuals can cope with that situation.
I obviously saw the lineups from TyLoo. How do you assess their Asia Minor so far?
It's actually been, in my opinion, they've actually played better than Flash overall, because yesterday Flash just got completely outplayed by Immunity. But if you look at TyLoo, yeah, it was a very tight game. It was a pretty exciting game, to be honest, against Renegades. They had a much more closer series as well, and everyone kind of seems to be on fire. Like Mo has been stepping up. Captain Mo had his moments. Bentet has been, in my books, the MVP of the tournament so far, like all along. Then somebody, DD, really doing the work as well. HZ, you know, he's kind of the quiet guy, but he does all the dirty work. So TyLoo actually, looking at yesterday's results, they seem to be much more on point than Flash. So it's going to be, I personally feel Flash are going to be feeling the pressure a little bit today.
No, I mean, it's always these teams haven't met up, have they?
They haven't met each other.
These lineups, so this is the first time. Is the
and there's some spice.
Yeah, there is a lot of spice.
There's a lot of history between these players.
Yeah.
So, like we said, like I was saying, you know, this is going to be a scrappy game of Counter-Strike. I think a lot of mind games, like next level mind games, where we're thinking this makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But
mind games
let alone
the mind games.
It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, indeed. Let's take a look at the Flash Gaming lineup. It does feature 3 previous TyLoo players in here, which we were discussing backstage before the start of the day. And the spice involved here, because I feel like Mo may feel a little bit kind of resentful for the fact that he lost 3 good players with all that mess that went on at the start of the year. So he might be feeling a bit like, you know, I want to get these guys. I want to win. I've got a point to prove that these guys were wrong to leave the TyLoo organization. My organization. I've been here 6 years. How dare these guys leave us? Meanwhile, the other 3 on Flash now want to go, we want to show TyLoo that they were wrong to jade us and we had to go away and find our own. So they almost both feel betrayed in some way. I don't know how that's worked out. There must be a story in there somewhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like when Carson left, there was so much of acrimony and whatnot amongst these 2 teams. And here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. For 2 years, Vici Gaming and TyLoo hated each other's guts. I've seen videos of Zoking flipping off TyLoo like live on camera after winning a game and whatnot in the grand finals. There's so much of animosity between 2 teams. I was telling this little anecdote yesterday where Zoking kills a guy in TyLoo in the middle of the round, opening kill. There are 2 more CDs to kill, but he's like, screw you guys. I'm going to spray this dead body and finish my entire clip on the body before I resume with the round. That's the level of hatred or whatever they used to have against each other. However, out of Flash formed, TyLoo and Vici seem to have kind of teamed up together against Flash because TyLoo played with Zoking, who they used to hate each other. They picked up Zoking to replace Bentet for Starladder. Didn't make any sense to me, but there's a lot
they found a common enemy.
They found a common enemy. They're like, screw you guys. We're going to team up together. We're going to show you what TyLoo is made of. And I think it's going to be pretty fun.
But that's the same thing in every scene, though. Like, you've had these, like, players that don't like each other, but they still eventually end up playing with one another. You know, Vestlan and Heaton, if you go 15 years down the line, for example. And, like, this, it makes sense. The same in the Finnish scene as well. We used to hate each other. But then we figured, okay, we should probably try and team up to make the best possible lineup in this country to be able to be successful.
UK yet. We just continue to hate each other.
I know. Yeah, it's in the culture. Yeah. It's very deep in the culture.
Yeah,
so another 15 years maybe?
50. Yeah, sure.
All right.
Probably another 50 years. We'll be all right at CS again.
Fair enough.
We'll have a team.
I think one level of mind games that we're going to see here is that TyLoo obviously has adopted things that Karsta used to come up with for the team. And we've seen that already, right? Yeah. So I'm looking
But he will know that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to TyLoo then trying to bait Flash into thinking what they're running, but they're, we're not going to actually run that. We're just throwing these smokes to throw you off and then, you know, wait for
this
Flash to go for
like,
an over-rotation.
It could be mind games on mind games on mind games.
I actually spoke to the 2 teams.
It's going to be a sandwich of mind games.
I first spoke to Flash Gaming and Karsa, to the translator, to the manager, and he was like, I know exactly how they play. I taught them this thing. You know, I know what they're going to be thinking, what they're going to be doing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, interesting. I spoke to TyLoo. They're like, Karsa thinks he knows what he's going to be doing, but we know how he thinks and his tendencies, and we're going to show up to him. I'm like, okay, then. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
This is going to be a lot of, I don't know about good Counter-Strike now too, but it is definitely going to be really entertaining stuff we're going to be seeing out of these 2 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it from that alone. I mean, it should be a lot of fun. In terms of the way it goes, do you see TyLoo as the favourite still, though? Just because of the way they've played so far here? Or do you think that edge of understanding how they're going to play is going to give their opponents the edge?
I think TyLoo have the slight edge here, to be honest, because just based on performance and also the fact that for some reason, Flash, like, they seem to be relying a little bit too much on Karsa for some reason, and I'm not, and it's not really been working out yesterday. So, TyLoo, I'm just going to give them a little edge. And the map veto, this is very, very interesting.
No, I mean, both teams, neither team played Nuke, so it's like we're vetoing from 6 maps, basically.
But it's funny, though, because Nuke is the first ban for both the teams, and neither of them went with a Nuke ban. They left it till the end there, which is curious, though. But
Yeah, I mean, because neither would pick it since they don't play it, right? So we end up Mirage, Train, and Cobblestone as the maps. Inferno, Veto from TyLoo makes sense. You know, that was even though Flash did kind of flounder on it yesterday, still in the big picture. It's one of the better maps from what we've seen so far, so it makes sense as a Veto. Similar to Cash for Flash as a Veto. TyLoo seems to be comfortable on that map. So, you know, get those comfort maps out the window.
Looking at the picks, though, like TyLoo picking Mirage makes sense, but Flash aren't exactly that bad on Mirage either. They can. This is a potential upset. And
Dust 3.
Dust 3, obviously, in China. And then Train is a very good map for Flash. They are really dominant in this map, and they seem to have a better understanding of how to go approach this map rather than most other Asian teams, where most teams just go for drive, push-ins. It's just very basic stuff. And Carsa kind of like, you know, tries to open up his tactical notebook and try various things on Train. Cobblestone is anyone's map. I think it can go either way. Both these, TyLoo used to be pretty good in Cobblestone.
Yeah, Flash looked really good against Renegades in Cobblestone.
Exactly, and at the same time, TyLoo, if you remember, like when they took down Luminosity back then on many teams on Cobblestone, it was due to Carsa, yes, but also the rest of the players like Captain Mo, somebody, Didi, they have a very good idea how to go about this map.
And how they played it. Like, they played so passively on B bomb side, it was mind-boggling.
It's not.
They would let their opponents literally walk into the bomb side before initiating fights.
I've never seen that before, nor have I seen that after. That was only for, was it for Luminosity? No. That was for Liquid.
I can't remember, but it was one of those guys.
It was a pure anti-strat play, that. And they haven't really done that since as well. So it's going to be pretty interesting 3-mapper. I do believe it's going to go to 3 maps.
Wouldn't surprise me. I don't think any logic applies here. It's really hard to pinpoint anything like, this is why this team is going to win, this is why this team is going to win, because there's so many things that are unpredictable in this matchup.
Oh, yes, absolutely. This is just going to be, like we said, like it's a street fight. It's going to be a brawl. I'm looking forward to see some, you know, a little bit of teabagging, a little bit of...
I was going to ask you about that, because that has happened in previous matches with some of these players.
Absolutely. Yeah. They teabag.
Like, there are 2 players in front of me shooting me, but I'm still going to kill the guy that I've just killed by putting the rest of my clip into him on the floor.
I've seen him do that. I've seen these players do that to each other, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Like, just like
a blast from the past for us, though. It's the kind of thing you used to do on LAN like 10, 15 years ago.
Well, we are a few years behind.
Not that far behind,
all right,
surely.
Not that far behind, true. But yeah, this is fun. This is interesting. I'm kind of a little excited for this, although I do know Mateus is going to be tilted off the face of the planet. I was watching his face yesterday while casting with him, and he was just gone.
Jaded.
Yeah, it might break him.
It might break him.
We might have to swap his face out for the broken man image.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
Quite possibly, yeah.
But if any logic applies here, I feel like TyLoo's going to win Mirage. It's been a map that it's been bread and butter for them for the longest period of time. It's the most commonly map played for them with this lineup, and then they're going to be playing Train next. I think Flash is going to be the one taking that one.
But I think we also got to put in the fact that Kaze, he tweeted yesterday his hand got injured like halfway through. Like if that's if that's going to be an issue on Train, because he's a main operator on the team, and Train is obviously a map where, you know, main operator does all the dirty work. And if his hand's still going to be injured, I'm not sure how serious it is. Then it could be rough for them, to be honest.
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, you're looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this just from a spicy point of view, and I think it could get a bit funky.
I'm Indian.
But
I like spicy stuff,
are we looking forward to the highest quality of Counter-Strike? Because I think Natu has a few reservations on that front, don't you?
I do. We're not.
It's as plain as that. Like, don't sugarcoat this. Don't back on it.
It's funny though, right? Like if you see a TyLoo or Flash Gaming, if they face off against an EU team or a North American team, you're gonna see a completely different team. You're gonna be like, wow, this is like next level mind games. Like, you know, great tactics, great reads. You know, trying to pull off like triple fakes and whatnot, trying something really cool. But when they face off against each other, everything goes out the window. It's gonna be HSDM. Just gotta go for them headshots.
We had this term back in the day for Brazilian CS. It was called the Samba CS, and I think we're going to see some of that.
The Samba CS. I like it. Less speeches.
It didn't really make a lot of sense a lot of the time.
No, quite. And it might not do today either. Who knows? I wonder if we can bring in our commentary team. Can we bring them in this morning? Are they awake in that commentary booth? Oh, they are, look. Wouldn't you know it? Good morning, gents. How are you doing?
Morning, Paul.
Are you looking forward to this, or are you the broken man?
I think I'm a bit of both, actually, as weird as that sounds. Like, I know there's going to be moments where I'm going to want to just leave the building, but at the same time, it's probably going to be really entertaining to watch for that reason.
Yeah, it probably is. Anyway, good luck, and we wish you well for game number 1.
Thank you very much. So, Dust, Would you agree with that statement, or are we going to see some 6CS today?
I mean, it's like this. Like, you know, in the Matrix, you got to ask whether to take the red pill or the blue pill. What if you just took both? Like, just both of us with our red shirts and blue shirts?
Just at the same time?
Yeah, you're going to get us both at the same time.
There you go. Well, I honestly, I think, as Natu said, I completely agree with him. All logic doesn't really apply here. It's very hard to predict, I think. And, you know, from an analytical point of view, I think your job is
thanks
a little bit difficult.
Yep, going to be a whole lot of fun. It's a funny thing to point out, or not funny, but interesting tidbit, is obviously the last time we saw like an all-Chinese match in a situation like this was actually at the last Asian minor for the E-League major. So that was back at the end of last year in October. And that was TyLoo, 3 of the same members still there. Somebody, Mo, and Didi, of course, Attacker. And now Summer, used to be Fancy One over on Flash, going to be playing in this game. They played against VG Gaming Cybergen, which Lovey was on the team at that time for VG Gaming Cybergen before, of course, joining Flash. And, you know, that was an insane best-of-3 series, and that's what everyone's kind of referencing to on the Destiny talk about how just, you know, crazy these games can get between these Chinese teams head-to-head. I mean, you had that one cash game, for instance, that went into this, like, multiple overtimes. You know, no one was able to streak more than, like, 2 or 3 rounds. It was just really just back and forth in nitty-gritty CS. And so there's definitely the potential for something like that to happen again in a matchup like this with all the mind games going on.
So when it comes to predictions then, obviously Mirage Train Cobblestone, is this too difficult to call, or do you have a favorite in your mind?
I mean, I like to think that TyLoo right now seems to have more overall firepower, particularly if one of the star players for Flash is having, you know, injury issues and he's not going to be able to perform at his best. Potentially, we don't really know for sure. Maybe he'll be able to, you know, muscle through it. But if you have a situation like that where, you know, you have a team firing on all cylinders like TyLoo, and you have Flash, you know, dealing with an injury and a couple of their players weren't on point, then that's all of a sudden going to cause problems. Because remember, yesterday with Flash, you know, Kaze was having his issues, right? And it seemed like at times, you know, they weren't getting Summer and Attacker playing well at the same time. Like maybe one would kind of have an off game while the other was performing really well, and it would kind of trade back and forth. But it is also true on the other side, TyLoo, you know, there was a few games there where somebody was having a really tough time. Even though Bentet seemed to always really deliver, particularly in that Renegade series, you had moments where somebody was really off the mark, and he's usually like Bentet's sidekick, like right there with him putting up numbers. So, you know, that it goes both ways really with these teams.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. And the fact that Kaze, from the first day, he performed really solid. You know, we got an idea as to what he could bring to the table. Completely absent, as you said. And if he's having injuries and having little things in the back of his mind, because that's the other thing, even if you do have an injury, if it starts to heal, it's going to be in the back of your head. Like, is it going to come back? Am I currently in this sort of placebo effect whereby I'm going to blame any missed shots on that injury, even if it has nothing to do with it. And these things start to mount up. So I do hope from Flash Gaming's perspective that he is going to be able to step up, because if he doesn't, things are going to get a little bit interesting. Speaking of interesting.
Some new production elements up there, guys. Maybe giving you a little bit of taste of what you are to expect at the major. We know PGL's been cooking up some stuff with the new custom GUI for CSGO, and so this is part of it, a little bit more detailed minimap perhaps, as well as, you know, moving the player bars around. Got some great graphics there towards the bottom as well, customized stuff, so pretty neat, flashing it out there on the final day, testing it out.
I am digging it. I'm liking that a lot.
It's going to take a little bit getting used to, I guess.
Yeah, from a play-by-play perspective, you like get into a certain mindset of like knowing where to look for everything, but I really like the look of this stuff. You can also see the bullets and the health at the bottom next to the player's name. That is cool. I'm liking this a lot, Dust.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty sick. Again, going to take a little bit of getting used to, obviously. But I think it obviously makes more room to throw cool production elements up there without it getting in the way of the game itself. And, yeah, it just flows really nicely. So looking forward to test driving this. Thank you, PGL.
For sure. And as you say, it just gives you an idea of what to expect going through. But we are going to be jumping live very shortly, fingers crossed, on Mirage. Obviously, Flash Gaming going to be occupying the CT side, TyLoo on the terrorist side of things. And judging from the utility, again, nothing really out of the ordinary. What I will say, though, is it looks like TyLoo are just going for full-on Kevlar. So they're not going to have any flashes or smokes. It's going to be a raw take just with those Glocks.
Yeah, and again, TyLoo very fluent on Mirage. Talk about how big it is in the Asian scene, but TyLoo specifically has put a lot of games on Mirage. I think if you combine their online and offline play on this map. They've played it, nearly 30 times, way up there on the amount of total games played, and they have a very successful win rate on the map. They've only dropped it a handful of times, so very powerful on Mirage is TyLoo with this lineup. You look at Flash, they've actually only played Mirage a single time as a lineup that we can look at, and it was actually a loss to eHome in the Asian minor qualifiers not so long ago to get them here. Grant, they still wound up winning the series, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be on the screen. But, yeah, I mean, this obviously when it comes to official map experience, there's a lot there for TyLoo. And Flash, to be fair, a couple of the players obviously played together on TyLoo, and Karsa was a big part of that as a coach. So it's not as if the familiarity isn't there for those, but they just don't have the same official match results backing them up.
Well, Dust, no need to fill any longer, as we are going to be delving straight into the first map of the day, the final day here at the Asian Minor. There must be a winner crowned and another team to qualify to go through to the closed qualifier itself. TyLoo and Flash Gaming, a Chinese team will fall by the wayside regardless of what happens here. And the winner of this will face off against Renegades.
Yeah, a little bit of initial presence at middle from TyLoo, but they quickly pivot over to the A side of the map. They already had Benset here, who's normally their A player, already inside Palace, is holding an angle as the rest of his team will be meeting up with the bomb. There's still one lurking middle. It's going to be DD. And so they actually open up fairly default for a pistol round, but now they're definitely focusing up on A. But as you noted, there's no utility here. It's all on armor, so it's all going to be about just absolute brawling.
Speaking of brawling, Karsa is able to thread the headshot alongside Fancy. And one bullet required to the head as Summer goes in for another one. He will fall by the wayside, but you have to feel like the CTs have got this on lock. And there you go, Flash Gaming wins the round. Right in the middle of your screen.
Yeah, I mean, it really just boiled down to duels. I mean, you have USPs taking fairly ranged fights over towards jungle and CT spawn, particularly Karsa. It's going to get me messed up a little bit. Kaze and Karsa,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, he opened things up off the A ramp, but then you see Summer making that rotation as well through connector. Big part of that round. So it's going to be 1-0 to Flash. We are going to see a force-up, though, from TyLoo, including a UMP on DD. So this is a very heavy-handed force buy coming into this.
They are going all in on this round. The UMP-wielding DD now moving towards the connector, where Kaze is waiting with his own SMG. Frags get traded out, but of course that is going to favor the CTs as a result of that one UMP being dropped. Captain Mo, though, is going to be delving in with his Deagle. M4 picked up. Of course, he does have Kevlar, so aim punch not going to be an issue. But he will be going into the crosshair of Karsa as a result of being herded away with the Molotov. Pretty rough position now for TyLoo. The upside, though, they have a minute to play with, so they're in no great rush. They can take their time.
Yeah, I mean, they fought to get Mick and Joe very quickly, but now things have been kind of held up. Mo tosses at M4, unfortunately, by going down. 3-on-2, Flash Gaming just holding, really spread defense, one connector and an anchor in each site. As HZ and somebody trying to figure out what they might be able to accomplish here as they do spot one in connector. Bullets exchange, and HZ will find the frag on the Karsa so that evens it back up. They still have that UMP in the hands of HZ as well, so they're almost on equal footing with their opponent at this point as they do decide to rush through connector into that A-bomb site.
20 seconds left. Bomb in transition. Need to get the kill onto the CT box, otherwise Fancy is going to have to stop this. Now tagged up as Fancy Summer. Obviously wants to be called everything under the sun, but it is going to be the CTs getting a kill before getting dropped down, and now somebody has 5 seconds to try and carve a 1D. Not going to happen. But Flash Gaming did lose 4 players in the process. That's going to smart in terms of their finances. They have to delve in and replenish all those lost weapons.
As we see, obviously the money going to be very low on TyLoo. They went very heavy-handed on that force buy in the previous round. Not only did they go Tech 9 armor, which is kind of the standard, they also threw a UMP in there. So that does set them back a little bit more. You do see them spending a little bit of money into the round. That's actually one of the new elements you see on that left-hand side on the player bars. Is it not only shows you the money they have left, but it shows you how much money they spent in the round. You saw those $300 P250s coming into play, but right now Flash is having no trouble holding them off at the passive middle. They do get into the A bomb site, though, and they won't actually sneak off a bomb plant here, so that's actually pretty nice considering the low investment.
Oh, at the top of the screen as well, you can see all the red bars. I'm assuming that means a bomb's been planted. Oh, no, I'm assuming that's also how long it is until it's going to detonate as well.
Yeah, each little tick, the bars
cool.
extend back out.
Sorry,
right.
we're just kind of like in this with you guys. The first time we've seen it.
We are learning along with you guys these new little elements. I like how production didn't give us any indication this was happening. They're just like, nah, I'm just going to throw it out there. Let them find out for themselves, of course. So we'll discover it together. But yeah, I like how they show you the exact amount of money that was also spent. So you don't have to do the math. Like, it's right there for you.
Also tells you the overall team money.
Yeah.
Just above the players as well, so you can have a more generalized idea as to what the teams have.
Then the mini map, obviously, in the top left has a little bit more flavor to it. You know, it feels a little bit more like the map itself. So cool stuff, as we do have the full buy out from TyLoo. And again, this team does have like a default setup they will go to. Again, usually Bentet playing towards the A side of the map, kind of a playmaker, almost like what Nico used to do on Mouse Sports. Like, kind of send one of your playmakers to that side of the map, let them see what they can find out while you focus everyone else up on, you know, getting mid control and leaving their lurker in the B apartment. So that's exactly what TyLoo are looking to do. Take it a bit slower this round. You'll obviously have plenty of rounds, though, where TyLoo are going to look to just 5-man gather up and explode on something, or do these 1-4 aggressive plays either at middle connector or over towards either site. But this time, just being patient, anticipating aggression from the CT side. You can see it's very passive mid control, not even going to the mid box yet. You do see them lining up some smokes from terrorist spawn. I guess that is an attempt at a window room smoke. Can be tricky sometimes, but this one does hit the mark.
Yep, nailed it. That smoke is more to keep Flash Gaming on their tiptoes, because as we can see from our perspective, TyLoo aren't going to be making the most of that through mid control. Instead, they're lumping together just outside of A. They're taking a while, so that smoke feels like it may have been thrown a little bit early.
Seeing the stair smoke being lined up there by TyLoo outside the A bomb site. So it's just going to be your standard 3 smokes on A into just a push out, but a good counter incendiary on A ramp as well as a smoke is really going to slow TyLoo down. You can see they're stuck at A ramp. They can't get up off the back of the utility they just dished out.
DD is going to get an entry, though. It's going to really help things out. They need to check in shadow, otherwise Fancy will strike with his UMP. Very powerful that position, and they do indeed check that off the list. Down goes Summer alongside somebody. Casa is in hot pursuit with the M4, and he's spraying down players all over the place. He's going to fall, but there's only 1 second. DD doesn't have enough time. Flash Gaming off to a 4-0 start, and to make matters worse, DD dies after time as well. That's going to hurt. Only $600 through into this round for him.
Yeah, there was just great utility usage, really from both teams, actually. Particularly Flash, though, using that incendiary and smoke to really slow TyLoo down after they'd already thrown their smokes. They were ready to go, and Flash just kind of stuffed him a bit. But I also like, you see the standard 3 smoke, sure, but the touch that TyLoo put to that was putting 2 Molotovs on bench, because how often do you see CTs play around the edge of that smoke on jungle on the bench area? So denying that actually helped them get into the site a little bit better. Just unfortunately lost out on the duels, and so it is going to be Flash Gaming taking the lead even further now, and TyLoo having to do more with less in this round. See on a Galil, Bentet on the UMP, DD stuck on just the Tech 9. Obviously very limited utility as well. Only Bentet really has much of an aid set here, as again they look to play fairly default, a little bit more presence towards the A-bomb site, however, as it is going to be Captain Mo joining Bentet. They did get a player up middle as well. I believe that's somebody that made it to chair, so at least they have some presence at middle to cut off rotates.
With somebody being by his lonesome, though, it's more of a passive angle than anything else. Maybe he can try and work his way through connector if TyLoo do get some success on the A side. Again, 2 players ramp, 1 in Palace. They also have DD who's going to be coming through underpass, so this is going to be an A hit, you have to feel. Somebody trying to play interference in mid still, throwing up smokes and flashes. He's going to get spotted from window, and now DD is going to charge straight through in connector and try and beat the decoy. Down he goes, though, and Kaze landing the AWP shot is going to make matters a whole lot better for the CTs. Captain Mo with 2 of his own, and somebody also chimes in for a frag. So TyLoo have the player advantage. Time is running scarce, but the bomb's been planted. And now Captain Mo goes in for another one. TyLoo out of nowhere take this round and make it their own, but that was looking so sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, again, it looked very similar to the previous round. The only real difference here is that TyLoo were able to get the entry, particularly Captain Mo coming out of the Palace, just straight lining them up after those initial kills. He just goes off. Somebody also a part of that taking down Carsa at CT spawn, so props to him. But yeah, Captain Mo toting the weight there. Now he'll have the AWP also at his disposal for this round. Great buy for TyLoo. They have all the utility they could ever want. And again, they're just sticking with default. They haven't really gone to any of those fast, like 1-4 or 5-man splits just yet. They seem content just to kind of keep the similar opening. They do pull Bentet off of A side, though, pretty early. He's kind of holding a passive angle, watching for a flank, but doesn't have any presence at ramp or palace at the time being. So you do see the focus on pushing middle. So it is going to be one of those 1-4 splits actually coming up. Probably 4 catwalk.
Well, Flash Gaming on so little in terms of nades, just a flash and a smoke. And without kits, you have to feel that TyLoo are firm favorites in this round. Already taking mid control. 3 players strong up, moving through catwalk. Lovey's UMP could be the last line of defense as he's positioned on the balcony. Molotov a bit too deep, it's on Van instead, so he's able to hold position. UMP spray, good for 1, but no more. As Captain Mo will trade out. Attacker with 2 kills, though, in Kitchen. Will give Flash Gaming the player advantage, but this is where the lack of utility in a couple of CZs could really hurt. And it's going to be a hard retake. Captain Mo and DD going to position themselves both on the site and bench. And there we have it. DD comes in with 1 AK frag. Can he get any more for his troubles? Yes, he will with the second. But now it's down to a 1-on-1, and Captain Mo connects with the AWP. 2-4. Flash Gaming have pretty much nothing.
Yeah, I mean, again, they did go into one of those fast splits there. After they got mid-control, there was no hesitation. They did rotate the bomb back through apartment, so it was 3 up cat rather than 4, but it was still the same effect, just trying to get in Flash's face early and win some key duels to get the bomb down, which they were able to do. And even, like you noted, with the man advantage for Flash, the lack of kits and utility, and the fact they were all pretty much bottleneck coming out of the same spot, really hurt any chances of that retake unfolding properly. Is again fast mid control from TyLoo. Somebody looking like he might even jump into window inside this smoke and really try to make things tricky. I don't know if he was maybe heard falling on top that roof. That may give Flash some idea, but again, just on upgraded pistols. And somebody finds the frag.
Yeah, minimal health left too, just 8. But a kill is going to be good enough to open up this round. Kaze and his CZ not able to get anything to stick. Now he is going to be charged down. HZ is going to come through with 2 more. Flash Gaming fall once again. So TyLoo, after a 4-0 deficit, a great start by Flash Gaming, have pretty much pulled this back to even. Flash Gaming will have a buy in the next round, but again, it's not going to be anything too special, you have to feel. Although actually scratch that, because they have quite a bit of round loss bonus coming in, so they might be able to get something like an AWP in the hands of Kaze.
Yeah, there'll be a 3-round loss bonus coming in, so with that said, I don't think that's an... I can't do math, so we'll just wait. We'll wait for the game to do the math for me. But it might be a little bit lighter of a buy, especially when you consider someone like Fancy is sitting on 0 bucks, Cars at only 400. So there's going to be a couple of guys there that don't necessarily have the best bankroll. And yeah, that is going to be the case. So yeah, this should actually probably be another save. Or maybe some upgraded pistols tossed around again.
Yeah, maybe more of like a half-buy situation. Now that we can see like the overall team money, I feel like on the CT's perspective, to get a fairly decent-ish buy, you want around $5,000 on each player. So you're looking at overall team money of about 25K. So if you see anything below that, and it's coming up to buy time, you're probably going to see a team just hold off.
Yeah, so lots of smokes being thrown towards middle from TyLoo, but they're actually all gathering up towards A, so they're drawing a lot of attention to middle. And they even send somebody up with that UMP, and there's a lot of focus on Flash towards mid. In fact, attacker deep into connector. Somebody will take him out, and now he's getting flanked from underpass. Will he check it? Yes, he will, but he goes down. And actually, Flash are holding off TyLoo on this A bomb site.
Unbelievably, that is the case. Fancy Summer is with his UMP on the staircase, but now Bentet is going to come through with a kill, but Summer with the last 2 UMP frags. Flash Gaming not expecting to see them pick up that round, but they do so in style, and now we're going to see the AWP picked up. Now we're going to see Flash Gaming have a solid rifle round.
That's a big round, man. Just big props over there to, I believe that was Summer, was it not? I was able to pick up that UMP inside connector and just put it to work. Picked up somebody's UMP that dropped down there in connector after he got that opening frag and was able to rotate in and silence Bentet and company, who were still trying to turn that in their team's favor. It is once again mid-control focus from TyLoo. But there's no hesitation this time. They're already deep up. Mo setting up a smoke to block off connector so they can try to work their way up into catwalk.
Kaze will draw first blood, though, in round 9. DD with a second. Now, if you have a quick look at the minimap, already TyLoo have really stamped their authority on mid. The bomb, however, is dropped back in a pretty deep position, so
yeah, someone's
going to have to retrieve that. It's going to take them a while to do so.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be DD, the B Apartments lurk, who's eventually going to fade back to grab that. And it looks like they really want to see what they can get up connector. They have Bentet on ramp as well, so splitting A is definitely an option here, but it's not as if they're committing everything to it. They still have presence over towards B Apartments. I believe they also have a player in ladder room, if I'm not mistaken. So leaving their options open for now as we come to the mid round. Mo, though, looking to see if he can initiate something soon. All right. Yeah.
Quick glance just to let him know he's there. Captain Mo making a moving connector. Again, though, we mentioned this a good 30, 45 seconds ago that the bomb was dropped way back. So they are going to have to retrieve it. And for all of their early positional advantages, TyLoo have been unable to really do anything with it. And now Fancy One. It's going to come through with a headshot. 20 seconds. The bomb still needs to move through connector onto the A site. There's not enough time to go B. And with 2 players on CT boxes, this is looking really rough. Kaze needs to get them on the cross. That was nearly a complete nightmare as his teammate walked in front of him. But Flash Gaming have done it. TyLoo far too slow to retrieve the bomb.
Yeah, it's crazy. They worked fast to get mid control, and they got players up connector and towards ladder room, so they got a lot of fast map control, but they were looking for a pick, and Flash just didn't give it to them, man. They sat back. They didn't give TyLoo any opportunities to find that one frag, to tilt the balance in their favor, get that man advantage, make them more confident in actually taking something. So the patience of Flash pays off big time as they put another point on the board, and now TyLoo, all they have is the Deagle on DD. Everyone else is on Glocks. The money is in shambles. As we are going to see them gathering up with that bomb over towards the B Apartments with 4 players. Just DD here over towards the A side. So it looks like they're just going to try to flood out and hope for the best, but can't expect much on just Glocks.
Well, I'm going to have to hope from DD's perspective that he can connect some headshots with the Desert Eagle. And he's the first to fall. No one close to be able to take the Deagle from his corpse either, so now it is all on just the Glocks. Should be a massacre. At least TyLoo will get 1 kill of their own. So putting a bit of economic pressure on Flash Gaming, but they have enough money to get that weapon back in their hands going through into the next round. Any more casualties, though, would be quite a collapse, you have to feel, from Flash Gaming. Bentet's got his hands on the M4. Once belonged to Fancy. 45 seconds left. He has no Kevlar. It's going to be an issue. Does have control of the bomb. And there we have it. Just as you mentioned, no Kevlar. Aim punch all over the place. And Flash Gaming do get a 7th round.
Again, not too much to expect from a round like that one when TyLoo was basically on a full save. But now they'll be able to get their purchases in. AKs, full utility sets across the board. I'm kind of curious what else they are going to accomplish. The one thing I haven't really seen them do yet is that there is some of those heavy utility A hits left over from Karsa's time on TyLoo. You know, the unique smoke walls and, you know, all that good stuff. You know, they have that in their playbook still. It's not like they've forgotten all they've learned last year from Karsa. But the problem with doing that is don't you think Karsa knows how to handle it? You know what I mean? So that's kind of the mind games going into it. They've tried playing these faster splits, and they're going to try going for it again. A naked utility hit up A ramp, but they get the entry on the Kaze.
Raw entry power out on the site is Attacker with 2. Bentet's only on 1 health at this stage, so he's going to be playing pretty aggressively as a result. Now he needs to pull back. His teammate on the CT boxes. It's a pretty rough ordeal for TyLoo, and a round they desperately need to grasp on and not let go of.
Well, this got to be the checkmate, though, isn't it?
Yeah, DD should be able to get both these kills. Now we have it. Goes for the spray. Oh, I think it's spun around on by Lovey. And keep in mind that Bentet is incredibly low. I like that he's using this angle, though, where he can only see the head and will be getting the round for himself. So important he didn't shoulder peek that and end up getting tagged anywhere and dying. But I thought DD would lay that one down just by himself through jungle.
Yeah, he got a really good flank off to come around. It doesn't wind up mattering as Bentet will be able to finish it off, playing that 1 HP situation very well, not showing off too much to make it easy there. So it is another round on the board for TyLoo. They do still have to do a lot of rebuying, though, and you can see the repercussions. UMP on somebody, Galil on HZ, they lose this round, they're right back to saving, so the pressure's certainly still on, despite finally pushing another one through. As again, very passive mid stance from TyLoo to open with, but now 4 will make their way towards the A side of the map, and we have one over here coming underpass, so it seems like the A hit is definitely going to be real once more with a lurk underpass to try to cut off rotations. A lot of utility on TyLoo as well to make sure that they get the smokes and mollies off that they want. As you know, last time they pretty much went in raw with nothing. This time maybe there's going to be a little bit more behind it. Try to get Kaze's op out of the equation.
Thing is, for all the financial difficulties you mentioned about TyLoo, Flash Gaming in the same position. Mag 7, really no money to play with if they were to lose this. So this could be a 2-for-1 for either team. And now the mollies and the nades are going to be exchanged. Fancy off the staircase. Gets Flash, but able to capitalize with a kill beforehand. Kaze is going to be looking to see if he can bide his time and wait. I thought for a second he was going to try and jump on top of the tall booth. That could have been certain death, though. DD with another entry. And A, you have to feel is right for the taking. Another trade goes in favor of TyLoo. And it's going to be down to Kaze now as his teammate right next to him gets dropped. Lovey, in the meanwhile, the Mag 7 is making the long rotation all the way around through window, but the Mag 7's not great in these kind of angles. So he will trade to the UMP instead. And now it's all about Lovey, and he's not going to be able to get it done. 7-5, TyLoo pull it off.
Again, it's a round that turns to a team deathmatch. There's no utility really involved. There's nothing crazy going on. It's just straight up dueling, and TyLoo wins it. The little subtle thing that happened there, though, that really helped TyLoo actually get to the A bomb site that you may not have noticed is that, you know, Kaze was holding A ramp with an AWP, and they didn't bother to put a smoke there. So you think, okay, he should probably get, you know, one free frag on the first guy crossing up A ramp, surely. But he happened to pull out an incendiary right as TyLoo came up A ramp to try to see if he could stall them from pushing, but it was too late. They were already coming up as he let go of it, and so he wasn't able to get that free kill I was referring to. So kind of stayed even with TyLoo getting site control in the process, and they break through, and now look at Flash. They're the ones on the back foot with just some upgraded pistols.
After a 4-0 start, Flash Gaming are eyeing up the very real possibility that TyLoo may be able to overtake them. Still 7-5, of course, but TyLoo will be favourites to take this round. Flash Gaming won't have a great deal to play with in the next one. And this time setting up for mid. Players scurrying through on the B-app side. That's going to be somebody. DD's going to join the rest of his team in mid now. So somebody may try and run interference once more. They're going to hear Deagles rattling off and have a general idea as to what's up against them. It's going to be joined with CZs. Up through Catwalk, TyLoo will move as a cohesive unit. A battering ram of AK-47s. And the lone M4 attacker's going to put down a kill with a CZ before he is laid down himself. Captain Mo picks another one up for himself, and that pretty much is going to be TyLoo taking the round. Casa and Kaze. Oh, that P250 headshot. That's tasty. You don't expect to see anything else, though. And here we have it, the spray. As soon as they're going to come through the door, TyLoo pick up a 6th.
Yeah, again, I mean, these anti-ecos have usually not been too troublesome. There was only one time that we saw Flash Gaming win an anti-eco against TyLoo, but other than that, it feels like usually when you've seen a team have to take a save, they've usually, you know, just been standard rounds where the team with the superior firepower able to clear it out with little hassle. But now we're back onto a full buy from both sides, though it is a bit odd that Attacker has an MP7.
I think we saw this on Overpass as well. It was Attacker that got those 2 or 3 kills, which I know triggered you on short through the smoke. So we know he does like to use this weapon.
Okay, fair enough.
They didn't have that much funds either. I mean, they're right back down into the...
I know Fur likes the MP9 on this map on the CT side, so every now and then you do see something a little bit out there, I guess, a little bit out of the norm, as TyLoo will slow things down again. They've definitely thrown in a fair amount of pacing changes. They haven't shown the full extent of their playbook. They've kept it mostly simple. Just trying to rely on winning the aim battles, and I mean, it's been a pretty even race in that regard, considering the scoreboard. You see a little bit of aggression from Flash over in the B apartments, but they're quickly deterred from sticking around much longer as those smokes begin to fade.
As you say, very slow round by TyLoo, mixing it up. We've seen a couple of explosive ones through A. That last B hit started slow but ended really fast. And it could be almost a carbon copy of the last round. They are shaping up the same way. 4 plays through Catwalk. Somebody more passive in the B-App side this time around. They're going to be against Rifles, but the trade will go in favor of TyLoo. 30 seconds remain, and it's all going to be about Attacker, who's at the back of the site. Can he buy up his team enough time to rotate? He's being mollied out of position, but the MP7 is going to be good for 1. And now the cavalry has arrived. Kaze not only gets the kill, but the bombs drop just outside of window. So they're going to have to flash him out of position before they can cross. Somebody does check his backside. The perfect time, making sure that Kaze can't get the flank. Kaze comes through. What a shot that is, and it could be enough to just outright win the round. There's 5 seconds left, and TyLoo, they've got to charge him down. He's pulled it off. Unreal that TyLoo lose that round in such fashion. Not Flash Gaming have done it.
They look so good. I mean, again, they love these 1-4 splits. They make it work again. They get the smokes out. They get up Catwalk, no problem. They're waltzing into the site. There is that one MP7 kill, though, that comes in to get at least 1 down, maybe give a little bit of time to rotate. But it's just straight up Kaze. If he's injured, he's definitely not showing it this game. He's hit some really nice shots, and that was a big play from him playing the clock to the T. Now it's last round of the half. It's as close as it gets for the most part, but can TyLoo ensure it goes 8-7? As they have to work with a fairly low buy, considering Mo's only on a scout and utility is scarce compared to what they've worked with in the past. But to be fair, a lot of their executes haven't relied on that much utility. Just a couple of basic smokes, and then mostly just swing out and look to take fights, as looks like they are looking to do something towards A again. The bomb is going to be over there with Captain Mo and his scouts. Got a player coming under past the connector and top middle as well, so definitely looking like some type of A split, but some attention being drawn to B by somebody, but Attacker thwarts it, no problem, and Kaze does find that kill up A ramp.
It's that situation again, though, where somebody typically has been the lurker, so as soon as they kill him on B, they realize, well, it's either going to be Catwalk or it's going to be A. They're not going to be all coming through the same side. They can focus their attention elsewhere. Bentet, lone survivor, lone terrorist. He's a great player, but this is asking so much of him. Everyone barring Fancy alive on the CT side. 40 seconds in which he needs to carve a masterpiece if he's going to clutch this. Nearly the first one falls to his hands. Kaze forced back out as the Molotov could claim his life. Indeed it shall. Only 13 bullets to play with. Now 3, and he's making it stick. He's making it work. He may not expect Kaze to be on sandwich, because he's just waited that whole time. He's not peeked him. And I can see that completely caught him off guard. 9-6, the halftime scoreline.
Yeah, that sandwich spot can be really deadly. It's not commonly used, and in a situation like that, you have so much else going through your mind. Definitely a little bit of a checkmate there from Flash Gaming in that sense. And I mean, that really just boiled down to TyLoo losing fights on the periphery of the map, right? You know, you have somebody pushing out B apartments, you get shut down by, I believe that was Attacker. And then you actually had Mo trying to take a straight-up sniper duel with Kaze with the scout up A ramp, and Kaze wins that fight. And so you're basically, you know, pretty quickly to 3 versus 5, you know, trying to rely on pick battles. And they just didn't pan out. And so Flash will extend that lead just a bit more as we switch sides. But obviously a pistol round and an anti-eco victory could, you know, lead to TyLoo tying this thing right back up. Or it could lead to Flash doubling their lead.
So a difference in setup here. TyLoo pretty much went for full armors with their Glocks, whereas Flash Gaming are coming through with quite a bit of utility. 2 smokes, molly, 2 flashes. The opening setup isn't really telling us too much as to what they have planned in the future, other than the bomb being just outside of mid.
Seems like heavy connector push is the only thing I can really think of here. They had that smoke for window. So again, just try to run up the connector. They have players at A ramp and Palace to assist in this, and that's exactly what's going to happen, as you can see.
Yeah, so instantly the CTs playing more passive positions, maybe going to wait for the retake. Captain Mo going to see action. That's a pretty tasty headshot mid-air. Bomb now goes down. DD wants to come in for some kills of his own. They do have a kit as well in the hands of Bentet, plus the kills are going in their way. Bentet onto Sandwich, going to make sure he doesn't get killed from there. A second round in a row. Now Kaze and Karsa, the two remaining terrorists, the stragglers, to try and hold off this retake. Kaze is on the jungle side and his partner in crime in Connector. The bomb is being defused in the meanwhile. They need to pop up and stop that. Indeed they shall, as Bentet goes down. And DD, although he may get this kill, he doesn't have enough time. Flash Gaming will be picking up the second pistol.
So there you have it. It all comes down to this excellent post-plant positioning and a good bomb plant location. Being able to plant it there in the center, which means players from Jungle and Connector can also be a part of the mix and making sure no defuse can pop off, and they held well in Connector and Jungle, cutting off those rotates. So really well thought out there by Flash, particularly how they handled the post plant, and so that will allow them to extend the lead even more. TyLoo will, of course, force buy, but if Flash can get past this hurdle, they'll be up against the full save, and they will have doubled their lead from the first half very early on, and that would set them up there a good ways. But we'll see if TyLoo can make this force work, as Mo will be a big part of it with that scout. Not only can he find kills, but he's also maybe the assist master. That's kind of how, you know, Fallen was seen as with the scout. You know, just tagging people, letting your upgraded pistols have an easier time finishing off frags. Or you could just do it by yourself as somebody blitzes through B apartments, already finds one, looking for a bit more.
Surely not a second from the same position. Flash are going to have to put that one down as soon as possible. That is one of the ways that TyLoo could sneak away with this round, if they can just do this hit-and-run style of play. Bomb retrievable. Going to be picked up momentarily. It is at the very backside. Bentet goes looking, wanted information. He found it at the cost of his life. And still two players stacked in ramp. That's going to be H, Zed, and DD, just hoping for the best at this stage.
Yeah, Flash looking like they're going to find the best gap they can in the defense, which is an isolated B player, though Mo is beginning to make a rotation over to this side of the map as well. Good on them to toss that UMP up there on the roof, making sure that TyLoo can't really save too much into the next round if they do wind up just winning this. Those little subtle things like that can help, but oh my goodness, TyLoo quickly pulled off 2 kills, and players trying to come out of the B apartments, and this is all of a sudden scary.
Exceptionally scary. Plus the time itself is almost an adversary, but Attacker is going to silence that alongside Captain Mo. Somebody, next player to fall, 2-on-2, and now the superior firepower should shine through. Attacker, who's already picked up 3 in this round, is going to have to go one better, and DD wasn't too far off with that spray. Downside for him is that Attacker's going to re-peek, and he didn't have a kit anyway, so he knew he couldn't just go for the full-on defuse.
He also had that GG Molotov. He didn't even have to use it, but he could have banked it off the box inside the site, and, you know, there's no way he's defusing at that point either. So there was a lot of different win conditions that he had there, but in the end, he just wins the aim battle, and so no extra effort is really required. And there you have it. Flash weather the storm of what was a bit of a scary force buy from TyLoo, but their reward should be that they'll have an easier time finding the 12th. As you can see, TyLoo, very little to work with here with just the P250s. Also showing you if they're blind on the duty.
Yeah, you see a little flash thing next to their names. Really cool. A lot of hidden gems that I'm sure we'll find out as we continue to cast this. Captain Mo with 3 P250 headshots. Very reminiscent to the last round where it just seemed to appear out of nowhere with kills coming into his hands. An Alcasa and a Mac-10. Now, Mac-10 is going to be very powerful against these 2 remaining TyLoo members, as neither of them has Kevlar. But it should be mentioned they both have AK, so that one-tap potential is on the table. And Bentet is flanking all the way around the back of Karsa.
So the key word in my statement before was should, and you can see why.
Oh, Bentet may have squandered his opportunity or not. Perfect crosshair placement. And this is why I said to you at the start of the best of 3, honestly, Analysis can take a back seat, Logic can take a back seat when these 2 teams are involved.
Or when $300 pistols can do that, you know, that's always a lot of fun as well.
Yep, $300 investment, wrecking 3 players with full armor and AKs.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, they were definitely trying to go heavy connector A, and they didn't really have any presence towards A ramp, and so he was able to focus down with that P250 on connector. He had outside a teammate jungle, so certainly kind of Flash filtered themselves through a pretty tough little crossfire there, but at the end of the day, you got to win those battles. You had the superior firepower. That should have been the easier round, right? I mean, you weathered the storm of the force buy. That should have been your trophy at the end, but not the case. TyLoo steal one around a little early. That does force Flash actually to take a little bit of a timeout to kind of reconsider things a bit here, as their money is tight now. They're trying to sort out what is the best purchase they can make. Get the most out of what they have left here. It includes a couple of AKs on Summer and Attacker. UMP was also purchased. CZ for Lovey as well.
So Flash not going to fully tap out of this round. They have decided to stick around a little while longer, as they know that TyLoo are in a very vulnerable state of affairs. Although somebody in Ben Tet have decent funds, the rest of the team certainly doesn't. Just the one lone player of Attacker is going to go on Palace. Rest of his team are filtering towards the underpass side. But TyLoo don't really have anyone that's playing aggressively. I mean, HZ is having a look-see down in connector, but there's a smoke that's blocking his vision for the time being.
So all quiet now. They're just in a bit of a holding pattern at this point. A couple towards underpass, top, middle, one player outside A as well. So they may try to do a heavy connector push once again, just like they did in the previous round. Maybe hoping for better results this time around. But they're up against heavier firepower, and they have to do more with less. So it could be very tricky, but you can certainly see they actually got a player in window room that's actually going to flank around CT spawn. So this could be a big factor. Keep your eye on Summer. He's definitely the one that can tilt the balance of this round. He's done well to sneak in behind enemy lines. They have no idea.
Oh, man, if Captain Mo spun around and hit him there, Fancy One is hating life. But because of that kill, as you highlighted, coming through window side, it's looking good, but the bomb's been dropped out, HZ. And Bentet both with kills, and it's crumbling down. Fancy Summer is able to get the wraparound, but it doesn't matter. The collapse is real. Maybe he can pull off this 1v3, or perhaps not. TyLoo, Jesus, are going to be victorious, but that looks so bad for them at one stage.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell happened there? Everything was just looking great for Flash. They had great positioning. They had, you know, an extra angle of attack on the A bomb slide thanks to the CT spawn flank. Had the opening frag. I mean, everything was looking set for them to pull it through, but TyLoo had a little bit more to say about it. They're really controlling the mid area well after the fact, you know, kind of backstabbing through connector and finding some key kills, and now Flash have to tap out. They have to concede this one. Unless they can make magic happen with the Deagles, we know it's certainly possible, but you'd think TyLoo are loving their chances to find a 9th round here now.
DD with the easiest kill, he'll probably get all day. Attacker just pushing straight into his crosshair with no Kevlar. Considering that at one stage Flash Gaming were 11-6 up and TyLoo were in all kinds of trouble, this is suddenly looking a whole lot better for TyLoo. P250s aren't going to be enough to contend with Bentet from the side. Kaze, well, if the bullet didn't kill him, it looked like he cracked his head open on the wall.
Yeah, I think
that looked pretty rough.
I think blunt force trauma to the back of the head would have done him there, either way. But now we have a situation where Flash can definitely get a buy off. Definitely not going to include an AWP and limited utility as well. So certainly going to be handicapped in some regards. But they could go for a purchase here if they want to, and they will. You see the AK's out and a little bit of utility coming in. I mean, Flash Gaming, so far we've seen them do a lot of just, you know, mid control. And they love fast mid control. One of the things that sets them apart usually, though, is they like to play AA on default, kind of like what the Danish in-game leaders like to do, like an Astralis or FaZe with Kerrigan, obviously, being Danish. But they've actually just gone for the standard 1-3-1 this time around. And Kaze does not have the AWP. And usually when he doesn't have the AWP, he does this. He's like their B-lurker. Other times around, if he does have it at middle, then maybe someone like Summer would take that up. So just a little bit of note on how they like to position themselves on their default, as this is about as standard as it gets.
Indeed. This is pretty much meat and potatoes Mirage from both sides, in all honesty. 3-2 formation. TyLoo going for the boost up on the bench, but they have now moved out of position. HZ watching window. DD on shadow or balcony. But as a result of more passive positions, it is going to give connector control across to Flash Gaming. That's something you're going to have to be very wary of, and Captimo has read the situation, but you can see from his perspective he has to watch 2 separate angles. He's very cognizant of ramp or connector, and that could be an issue. He needs someone to help him out now.
Or Palace could blindside him as well. There's a lot to think about here. HZ, though, up close, if the pop flash comes in, he's able to get 1 frag, but Karsa quick to trade, so at least they're still in this round, but now Mo gets to put all of his focus down on connector. Gets the pick, but it's just trading back and forth. Now it's down to a 2-on-2.
So many errors in this round, but we'll discuss that in a second. It's a 1-on-1, and Bentet on 39 health has to try and take down Kaze, who doesn't have his much loved AWP. Instead, it's the AK, and Bentet's going to get him as he pushes through the smoke. There was 8 seconds left, so Kaze had to go for the bomb, or at least fully commit to Bentet. And he was caught in no man's land, but we actually called that. Captain Mo had 2 angles to cover. He looks at ramp, and he gets peeked from connector, and then 2 seconds after he dies, a player on short kills the guy connector. And you can't help but feel a lack of cohesion really roughed them up there from TyLoo's perspective.
Just also a timing of peaks and, like, I mean, I guess you could call it decent trading, like equal trading from each side, right? There was always a response frag to whatever pick their opponent got, and it got it down to a 1v1 situation. Just really chaotic there, though, through the connector area. And now we're going to see another timeout here called by Flash, because this round, you know, you're going to have a hard time holding off TyLoo from tying this game up because they have full utility. They're even going to run double AWP now, so you can see ops all across the map, whether it be, you know, standard places like Sweetie Spawn, maybe an aggressive push Palace. You know, obviously patrolling middle or B apartments is options as well for these 2 AWPs that can be tricky to deal with. And if you're Flash, you don't have a whole lot of money to spend here, and you need to make sure you have a nice full buy in the next round as well. So it's about how much money can we spend here to give ourselves somewhat of a chance while making sure we don't hamstring ourselves in round number 23.
So tactical timeout has came and gone. Flash Gaming now will be back into the round, and they have gone for a bit of investment, but with 4-round loss bonus coming up, they're going to be able to afford AK's next one regardless. To Scout, Deagles, CZs, it's enough to be a pain in the backside. But probably not too much more than that. TyLoo, their choice of map was Mirage at one stage. It was looking really poor, but now they've brought it back somewhat. Lovey is going to get tagged. His elbow gets blown off. Fortunately for him, he's been able to stick it back on. He has 16 health left to make something happen. So instantly, as soon as the AWP shot rattles out, they are just being a little bit more passive on B-Apps, not going to be peeking anymore. Although they have the bomb over there, of course, they have the decision of either mid or underpass. And the CTs don't have to budge an inch. They're in pretty solid positions across the board here.
Indeed they are. Summer just holds out at underpass. Top middle now chiming in. Still a player in B apartments as well, so still fairly standard stuff. But Attacker puts the Deagle to work despite a lot of damage being taken by Flash. They have both opening kills on the round. Mo is responding, but again, he has so much to worry about. He can't just focus on connector. Obviously, we know there's no one A ramp or Palace, but he does not know that. And so he has to be very cautious. But he does spot the back of Summer window, and at least he's reeled it back in a bit to get it even.
He's really grafting for the kills, is Captain Mo. Brought it back to a 3-on-3. Now, with 2 AWPs in play at this stage, there is always that possibility of one of them just being rushed down. What? It looked like he hit the second one for sure. Either way, though, it's going to be up to Bentet to finish off what the rest of his team has started. Already with 2. Kaze with a scout, going to get sidelined and put out of his misery. Cool that you actually have the defuse time as well showing up. And TyLoo pick up another one, but I feel kind of bad for the second AWP. I think it was somebody on B. It looked like he shot
it looked like
somebody.
He got that hit. I mean, from our perspective, that looked pretty damn close. Winds up not mattering. Bentet able to finish things off. And so now we're all square again. It's 11-all. It's been quite the game. No one has streaked more than 4 rounds together. There's been a lot of 4 and 3 round winning streaks in response to one another. So it's definitely been a slugfest in that regard. So WWP still in effect here for TyLoo. And here was that AA default I was talking about they like to do. Again, very similar to what Astralis likes to do. Just get 2 over here in Palace and Ramp. But they actually shift B apartments to mid very quickly. But somebody off the top of Catwalk putting that AWP to work. He's not missing this time, Metis.
Certainly not. Down at 73, but he takes 2 kills for about a quarter of his health. Exceptional work. Hyper-aggression through mid. TyLoo now are starting to put that streak together. They're starting to get themselves ahead when it really matters, when the finish line is in sight.
And they hold such powerful control now. They still have a player with presence middle. It's going to be somebody. He has to worry about underpass, though, and top mid, so he's a little bit distracted, but he can rotate so fast to A is the point with the position that he has, which will certainly help out.
DD has fallen. Oh, and Kaze with a quick peek onto Captain Mo. Somebody who's already got 2 may actually have to ace this one if he wants to keep his team afloat. This will be a horrible time to lose. Flash Gaming have got the bomb down. Ventet comes through from the side. Now it is all down on the shoulders of somebody. Is he just thinking about saving this?
You can imagine so. I mean, 1v3 with an AWP is not the easiest. And, of course, they have been spending a lot of money, even though they have a 4-round winning streak going on. The double op investment is expensive. So, I mean, you got to try to keep this in play. He has a full utility set as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of money sitting on somebody right now. And it makes sense he would grasp in a tight game, right? I mean, it's only a 1-point difference now between these teams. And, I mean, the A defense just absolutely crumbled there. Just, again, straight-up aim battles being won by Flash to crack open A. And somebody, even though he had great positional mid, didn't have really a lot of time to rotate when his team was already dead by the time he got there.
Yeah, from TyLoo's perspective, is you're just catching somebody's exquisite couple of kills in mid. They only had very low amounts of money on HZ. You can see even still, he's forced into a Kevlar and has a FAMAS UMP in play. FAMAS on somebody who actually drops the AWP across. So Ventet's got the second one now.
Now he's usually the second AWP player for this team a lot of the time, actually, and we're gonna see a duel here, maybe. Oh, they just miss each other.
In all honesty, that's probably for the best for TyLoo because Kaze had Ventet's number, and losing one of those AWPers right off the bat when there's such low amounts of weapons and utility on the board would have been a nightmare for TyLoo.
Yeah, given the money situation, the scoreboard, there's not much room for error in a game like this anymore for either team if they want a real solid chance at taking it. As again, we do see Flash taking that AA default and taking it very passively as well. They're very cautious. They know that this is an important round. If they can take it, TyLoo would be so low on cash. And that's when you could maybe finally start getting control of the game in the home stretch, as we do see them now starting to maneuver themselves up towards connector. So the A split is definitely going to be in full effect, but a stack on A with 3 players, and somebody's right here in window room. They have a good defense set up for this on TyLoo.
Somebody expending his utility. No one's home. Now HZ's going to be turning his back, hoping for the flashbang. They walk straight past him, and himself and somebody both able to get themselves on the scoreboard in this round. Looking great now for TyLoo. They're getting the trades where it counts. Summer comes back with 2 of his own. Captain Mo will dispatch of him. Now Summer, the last player to fall, all even again. And that is going to hurt Flash Gaming after they have just finally won a round. Straight back into another loss. And a couple of players that could afford fancy an attacker. They're going to go for the half buy instead. And, oh, and actually, they're going to drop some Tech 9s and go all in.
Yeah, I mean, they're going all in because they know how low TyLoo's money is. I mean, they've had to do a lot of rebuying here. You can see, well, it would be devastating if they got their money reset right now after that round win. So that's what they're chasing after, that dangling carrot of what we can get if we can secure this round. But obviously, the consequences of losing, you give the lead back up to TyLoo, and then they have an economic advantage going forward as long as they can win this clean.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's a high-risk, high-reward sort of play here by Flash Gaming. If they lose, and they are in quite a spot of bother. And Captain Mo with 1 Tech 9 out of his shoes. That is a rough trade for TyLoo, and it's just got a whole lot worse. Flash Gaming charging into A. Downside is they don't have the bomb here. It's going to take a while before it scavenges its way through the spawn. The T's need to wait. Fancy's saying, screw that noise. I'm going to push through the smoke and try and take the AWPer down. Bentet will do enough to force him back for the time being. This is where he needs to strike with the AWP. The bomb's going to start to get planted. He can see the backside of Kaze and takes him down. The bomb also drops in the meanwhile. And now somebody from jungle is going to do a hit and run of his own with the M4. DD chimes in. An attacker is all that remains. And this round has gone from being almost a certain win for Flash Gaming to almost a certain loss. Attacker in his 14 health.
Oh, man.
Have their work cut out for them, and back he will go, but...
Feels like he wasn't really aware of where he was actually playing the bomb at. I mean, I think he was seeing himself as safe from being peeked from CT spawn where he was, but maybe a little bit too much junk in the trunk right there for him, because that was an easy op frag to put the bomb down there from Ticket Booth. They also had connector control, and they had eyes on Catwalk, so I mean, they could have even played it more safely towards Catwalk if they had wanted to. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that went on that round, very chaotic, but that was kind of like the key piece at the end, I guess you could say. As now Flash Gaming are onto that low buy with two of their players, 250 on Lovey and the MP7 on Attacker, but they still do have a few AKs here. Limited utility, and Lovey's actually not even on armor, so
yep.
This is definitely slim pickings for Flash.
Although he does have $1,900. Which begs the question as to why he doesn't have armor. But
it's not like anybody else is storing money in the bank for next round, so yeah, I don't know.
Who knows? Either way, Flash Gaming, as a result of the bomb plant and the few kills they got, it has put them into another buy.
He could have even went UMP armor, right? I mean, it wouldn't have had utility. It doesn't have utility right now anyway either, so yeah, I don't know. That seems a little bit of an oversight.
Well, speaking of the man himself, he is currently residing in the Biaps. Bentet is jumping up and down, going to throw an incendiary as soon as he sees somebody, but decides to turn tail and move away. And as he does that, they're going to start to force their way through Biaps. Fortunately, though, somebody's M4A4 is on point. And 3 players fall as a result. The MP7 and AK still in play. Someone's going to put down 1 player. But 30 seconds to get on the bomb. And to make matters worse, Summer has been AWP'd out for this round. Attacker with 1. Was maybe hoping the weapon dropped down to him instead. Going to be going in for a second. Clotheslined DD with the kill. TyLoo, who are looking pretty poor at half-time. It's looking like they may actually just straight up concede this map. They're now 14-12 in the lead, and Flash Gaming on very little.
That was apparently a blast from the past replay from round number 22. But I guess it's cool to see somebody there, you know, showing a little bit of his op work again. It's not Throwback Thursday yet, as we are now into the next round, though. 12-14, and Flash Gaming looking to do something a little bit faster at A now. They have a decent amount of utility to use, so maybe some type of more complex smoke variation on the A site could be up for grabs. I mean, they do have 5 smokes at their disposal, so I expect one of those like more unique kind of smoke variations on the site. You know, maybe smoke wall through the center or off stairs to center site. Like, there's a bunch of different things that these Chinese teams have in their playbook when it comes to A executes, and it seems like we're finally going to see one of them.
Player and Sandwich could be the difference maker, though, and DD is going to task with HZ and Captain Mo. He's had a few cracks at the whip and finally has landed a kill, but he drops down, and Fancy will make the most of that. He is now the only remaining terrorist, but 2 players to fight off again against in a minute in which he can use. Also has full health, HE and a smoke. Peeking around the corner. The timing's not on his side, though. Somebody went to the triple box the very second that someone moved around. Unfortunate, but TyLoo now have 3 map points. And Flash Gaming, they're going to have to get another buy, but again, it's going to be lackluster.
You feel like the money management here towards the end of Flash Gaming like somehow went into disarray. You know, obviously you're in kind of like a force spot to survive situation to some degree, but at the same time, when you have rounds where people are forcing, but then you have, you know, a guy sitting on $2,000, everyone else is sitting at 0, so he didn't even buy on the same page as his team, and you know, they've had force buy after force buy for like the last, you know, 5 rounds or so. So they've never really had like everything at their disposal to really go for a true round win. And when it's that close, you have like at least 1 round for cushion to save, you feel like. So I do wonder if that kind of comes into it a bit. So you are going to see them trying to take mid once again, but Mo on the edge of the smoke, able to get the opening pick, and TyLoo looking to take this first map. Again, elimination on the line in this best of 3. And the 1 map advantage will certainly serve you well.
As a result of the weakened economy, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember seeing Kaze with a single AWP on the T side.
Yeah, I don't think it was there.
And considering he is touted as one of the best AWPers in Asia, I mean, you need him to have that weapon. That being said, DD is putting the bullets where they're required. 1 kill to him and nearly a second through the balcony. Somebody straight through mid. Someone will fall. Kaze 1 on 5. Not going to happen. DD secures the map. TyLoo take their choice of Mirage. It was looking labored at points, but only 3 rounds in the second half of Flash Gaming. That's just not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, they only gave up 1 round on the TyLoo side. Out of like the last 11 rounds of the game, they only coughed up 1 of them. So, I mean, even though the first half was a very tight race, it was very back and forth, you know, 3-round streak versus 3-round winning streak, back and forth. I mean, even the start of the second half was very close when you had a couple of players popping up at the beginning with winning the pistol and winning the second round as well. So it started close each half, and the first half was a tight race altogether, but, I mean, TyLoo really just kind of hunkered down there in the end to take it. You wonder if things started to crack under pressure for Flash. It really seemed like their money management towards the end started to kind of fall apart. You know, even when you're trying to force every time and you have players not buying, that's going to be kind of an issue, right? So, yeah, it's great play from TyLoo. Again, there's not too much to analyze because a lot of those rounds really did come down to a lot of naked mid and A attacks without much utility, not much complexity, and just, like, taking a lot of duels. And you know, TyLoo won the key ones in the end.
Well, you've heard what Dust has to say. Let's see what the desk has to say and break that first map down.
Yes, thank you very much, Vince. And Dust will return, of course, to our commentators for game number 2. Game 1 goes the way of TyLoo. 4 men above 23 frags in that match for TyLoo. A consistent performance, nevertheless, and a win over their rivals from China. Let's find out what our main men on the panel thought of that one. It wasn't quite the hack and slash that we expected it to be, and a bit gung-ho. It was quite strategical in places.
True. Both the teams had a very similar CD side setup. They completely relinquished mid control, not really going for that fight, which is kind of different from other teams you might see internationally speaking.
Unless you're somebody.
Unless you're somebody. Speaking of somebody, he actually had some pretty big rounds as well. But overall, I think it was Flash Gaming not really having a T side whatsoever. And even though TyLoo had moments where, even though they're winning the rounds, we saw so many people over-peaking, unnecessarily over-aggressing. Like, you have the man advantages, no need to push it further. And despite all the small little mistakes TyLoo made on their CD side as well, Flash just basically didn't show up at all on the T side. They had nothing. Yeah,
I mean, it was close for much of the match, so that says something for Flash. But if there's a theme creeping up on us, it's that they seem to crumble towards the end of matches. Money management was poor towards the end of the game. They lost 4 or 5 rounds in a row. They hadn't done that throughout the whole of the game. And we saw a similar thing yesterday with them.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with the buying pattern they had. Save once more, make sure you have the guns, the utility for potential execute. And when you're given as much room as was given to both teams, that gives you the opportunity for a lot of different fakes, things you can set up people to the ladder room, goes out the window, play one in the connector, then fall back, go for an A execute, and you'll have one guy there somewhere for the rotations, catch him off guard. There's a lot of things you could do, but instead they were resilient on going to the connector and just kind of get just cluttered up in there, die one by one. Or once they hit the bombs, that this applies to both teams, is since they didn't really use a lot of the utility, they would always have a gap somewhere that they didn't smoke, and then an individual from the CT side would be able to wipe out 2 players, which would then effectively nullify the whole attack and then be downnumbered as the bomb plant happens. So just both teams doing a lot of kind of weird stuff. Again, it could be a matter of them both thinking and overthinking stuff because they know each other so well. So it's really hard to judge, but scrappy as we thought it would be.
Yeah, scrappy for sure. What is it with these 2 teams in particular, Blair, that means that they kind of just go yeah, please, welcome to our bomb site. Please plant the bomb. We'll do something about it afterwards. Why do these teams play like that?
I'm not so sure, but it could be because it works in Asia for some reason whatsoever. In Mirage, like mid control in any map is quite important. But in Asia, when the CD bombs on the CD side, most teams you'll see just give up mid for no reason whatsoever. They never really contest mid, except maybe like we saw a couple of guys like somebody pushing out B short, which was an anomaly actually compared to how most teams play that way. Yeah. And it's a risky thing altogether, because if they don't get the crossfires right, and if the guys in A bombs or B bombs they get taken down, retake's going to be a nightmare because the T's going to have complete control. But I think both the teams had abysmal T sites, to be very honest. Although yes, Flash was way worse, but the way they were entering into the bomb sites, it's like they're paranoid, but there's no system in the way they were exploding into the sites. It's like they're not checking corners, like not to mention they're not properly smoked off. Sometimes they're just walking in without checking jungle, for example, just assuming no one's going to come out from it. That's dumb. And you're going to get really punished for that if they play against a better team. So small little things. I really can't answer the question you asked me, though. Why did they just invite him into the bomb sites? I have no clue.
And I was expecting a much...
Okay, at least you're honest. I like it.
I was expecting much more from Flash after day one, and seeing the way they played against Renegades. The things they've been doing here, for example, losing against P250 is effectively because of just running into connector, somehow just trying to get rid of round number 3, where you should be taking
3 in a row in that.
You should take things slow in that kind of a situation.
While having utility, by the way.
Yeah,
had utility.
There's so many things you could do. Like, if nothing else, please just do like a setup A, execute, utilize Molotovs everywhere, spokes, and just go together instead of just throwing a flash somewhere, Molotoving window, and then running into connector, which is like a bottleneck where you can just get wrecked. Yeah. One at the corner, one peeking from jungle, and all of a sudden you're 2-3 down. Pretty much what happened, right?
Yeah,
so that's a unnecessary risk, and it's just very disappointing to see when you're thinking that this would be, or could be potentially be the team that could tactically be the next level of Chinese Counter-Strike.
Speaking of tactical, one thing which really disappointed me, caught me off guard, was the fact that I think it was the final 3 or 4 rounds when they went for this half-arsed buy, and I think it was Lovey or whoever on the Flash side. He hadn't bought up anything. While the rest
you'll need to be more specific with the round, Blair, because that happened quite a lot.
Quite a lot, though. But this one round in particular, I think the money was pretty bad, and Cross probably called
tail end of the game.
Tail end of the game, yeah. They went for a force buy. Lovey didn't buy up anything. He just had a Glock or something. While the rest of them, they went for the buy. So next round coming in, like, if the money was all over the place. Yeah. And Cross is the guy where, like, he's the in-game leader. He's the best man in Counter-Strike in China and Asia. And if you don't have control of your team, they're not listening to you. I don't know what's happening inside the team, but it felt like when pressure's really on, you seem to just crumble mentally, and they don't listen to each other. The comms are all over the place, and it's just a mess.
Does seem to be a theme with this team so far. They seem to need to get over the crumble. The Mummy MVP for this particular game was DD this time round. His statistics being pretty decent, 25 kills, 21 deaths. But he was one of 4 players on the team that got more than 23 frags in that game. So that's some big numbers.
Yeah, actually, I think Bentet did have more kills than him.
Yeah, 27.
But if you look at Bentet and somebody, if I'm not mistaken, 2 of them shared the same.
Yeah, 25.
But DD, a little bit more impacting and make out like 4 opening kills, 5 trade kills, and 3 kills on a retake and postman. Some of those rounds are very close as well. The bomb getting planted and it coming down to 1v1. And DD did have some very crucial kills. So.
Yeah, we're on day 4 of the Asia Minor, and that's the first time that anyone other than Ben Tett, when TyLoo have won, has picked up an MVP award.
He's still top frag, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like you've got to beat him and do better than him to get an MVP in this game. So
the guy's still a beast,
Yeah, he's still crazy good, isn't he? Yep. Absolutely amazing. Okay, we're going to catch up with one of the players from Flash. It's Kaze. It's the man that we've been talking about for the last 4 days as being a brilliant brain in Counter-Strike. Perhaps the man that can unlock the key to more strategical CS in China. Let's hear what he had to say heading into the Asia Minor.